Okay, let's take a moment and let's really break down some of the differences between our subconscious mind and our conscious mind. I'm not going to use a lot of scientific jargon. Obviously, if you want to know the more specific terms, I'm going to dig deeper into that as we go along, but I just want to give a very general idea of the differences between the two and how they work together. It amazes me sometimes how many people are actually not really aware of this, okay? So I have decided to represent the layers of mind, conscious mind and subconscious mind, as a pyramid, which I think is appropriate because the subconscious mind, I'm saying, is the basis, right? It's your habit mind. It's the part of your mind that developed really before your conscious mind developed. Like I said, you can go into psychobiology, neurology, and really have a deeper understanding of that. But let's just suffice it to say that I'm calling these three levels all represent the subconscious mind. Up here at the apex, I have a C, which is for conscious mind. Now, science and research has actually proven to us that we're only really in a conscious, aware, creative state of mind, in that conscious mind space. Some researchers say anywhere between 5 to maybe around 15% of the time. Although most would say that we're definitely closer to 5% of the time. It just depends on the individual. Your subconscious mind is controlling everything else. That 95 or 85 to 95% of your day, of your life, is being controlled by the subconscious mind. That's not a bad thing, that's a good thing. Because if you had to be consciously aware of everything, if you had to be consciously aware of your heartbeat, of your cells dividing, your metabolism, your blood flow, you couldn't do it. You couldn't do it. So the subconscious mind is designed to keep things in homeostasis, to keep things flowing smoothly. And your subconscious mind does not like change. So let's go over this for a second. At the base foundational level, I call those auto functions. Those auto functions include, but are not limited to, cellular division, metabolism within the cells, protein synthesis, your heartbeat, your overall metabolism, your hormones, your bodily functions in general, right? From the time you're in the womb, your heart starts beating, your cells start dividing. That happens without your conscious control. So most can agree on that, right? The next part is vitally important. As I say, it's vitally important because this is where and when we're getting most of our programming. So you could say, well, what does he mean by programming? This is what I mean. From really while you're in the womb, researchers say, up to around 7 years old. Legendary researcher Dr. Bruce Lipton always talks about how there's a certain sect of monks that says that give me a child, give me a young boy, and let us train him up until the age of 7, and I can show you the man. Why is that? Because they understood that all of the programming that really goes into making us who we are is done up until the age of 7, really. Why is that? Because our minds, our brains are in a lower wave pattern. We call that the theta brainwave state. It's almost in that hypnotic kind of state. It's the state that you're in between sleep and wake. That's when you're most receptive to absorb information into your subconscious mind, into your programming. in that programming stage, what's actually programmed? Your personality, your beliefs, your self-image, like I said, the sense of, who you are, who am I? That is created in those first 7 years in that programming, that theta programming stage. Emotional responses. You're taught how to respond emotionally. Sometimes you'll see kids that grow up that's into teenagers and adults, and you'll realize, especially from the outside looking in, wow, they act just like their parents, or they act just like their grandparents, or whoever raised them. Your learning style is kind of developed in that stage. How you learn, how quickly you learn, your receptivity to certain learning styles, all of that happens in this programming stage. The next stage, I call this the habit stage. And this is why I call it the habit stage. So this is after. Now, they kind of this next stage I call the habit stage. And the reason why I call this the habit stage is that once you have this programming in place, right, it's there, you've learned it. As you get older, you go out into the world, you go to school, you go to church, you interact in your larger family and your communities. Now you're taking that programming and you're establishing habits, right? Dr. Joe Dispenza tells us that up until around the age of 35, after 35, your day-to-day is kind of a program that's playing over and over that you've established from around 7 to 35. You're just playing out the habitual mind. You're playing out the programming through your habit mind. Things like how you walk, driving a car, skills, talents. These things are developed during that stage. Your, what I call macro social skills, how you interact in the outside world, relationships. How do you take that programming, maybe even how you saw your parents interact with each other, your older brother interact with his girlfriend, or things you saw on television, things you read, all that programming is being played out in the habit stage. Just your general day-to-day, right? Now, I put imagination here. The reason why I put imagination right here, right in the middle, is because imagination is one of those things that's not even fully understood, but it's powerful. Why? Because you can direct your imagination with your conscious mind. For the most part, most people just let it happen automatically. It's like you're sitting at your desk or you're driving your car and your mind just slips into a lower brainwave pattern, which opens you up to images and feelings. And some people have very vivid imaginations, but the ones who know how to use it, consciously use it as a tool, which is what I'm calling Imagineering. It's like using your imagination to engineer your life, right? I put that right there because you can dip into the lower levels where you can program, but you can direct it consciously. That's why I call this part of the habit mind, because it can kind of work both ways, but it's the powerful tool that you can use to actively make changes to your life. So at the top here, I have C. C is simply for conscious mind. The prefrontal lobe, the prefrontal cortex, up here. It comprises a large part of your brain, actually. But the truth of the matter is that, as I said before, you're really only utilizing this part actively anywhere between 5 and 15% of your day, right? And on some days, even less than that. It just depends, right? This is where your will resides. When you say, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that, right? your creativity. This is where you can sit, ponder, think, and create novel ideas, new ideas. And that does something to your mind. I will discuss that in later videos. How thinking outside the box and forcing yourself to kind of sit down and think creatively. There's a whole fire and wiring type of thing that goes on in your mind, but we'll go into that later. Desire, wanting something, recognizing that you want something, happens in that sphere, in the creative, conscious space, right? Questions. Now I should have underlined that. Questions. It's that part of your mind where you sit and you think, why is that? Why do I do this? Why does this person act like that? Why do I act like that? Why are things the way they are? Who am I? What am I doing? Why am I doing it? Powerful. Questions are very powerful, as we will discuss later. And this is the part of you that affirms that self-awareness. Like, I know that I'm standing right here in front of this dry erase board, looking into that camera. I'm aware of the space in this room. So that's kind of how I break it down. But as you can see, this part, this subconscious part, is the part that you have to make changes in. You can't just do it with your conscious mind. Your subconscious mind is many thousands of times more powerful than your conscious mind. So with Imagineering, I'm developing something where I can actually help teach people, including myself, how to break free of the habit mind and create the life that you want. Imagineer it.